Good afternoon, dear children. Today we will be again continuing with the rivers and lakes of Africa. In the previous class, we had already finished up with the entire map and its features, and we had also discussed the major rivers of Africa: the Nile, Congo, Niger, Zambezi, and Orange. Today we will continue and discuss the rivers of Africa, specifically the basic characteristics of all the rivers, what it actually is. Number one being that the rivers, while they flow over the plateau, that is a relatively flatland area, they are navigable in the upper course. Whereas most of the Himalayan rivers that we have already been studying about in our previous classes have a very difficult area to cross over or to navigate in the upper course or the first stage, because in the first stage the river is very it has a very swift flow. In the upper course, the river is supposed to be at its youngest stage. That is why it is also called the young stage of a river. It is flowing very fast and it is rushing down a very steep gradient. That means a slope. Therefore, in the Himalayan rivers, you will see that in the upper stage or the younger stage of a river, it is very difficult to navigate that particular portion of a river. But here the reverse is happening in Africa, that you can see that the rivers, while they flow over the plateau, are navigable in the upper course, that is while they are flowing over the plateau or the flatland area, and they are not navigable in the lower course, that is while they are moving towards the coastal plains or when they are tapering down towards the coast. They are very narrow and they drop down to the sea abruptly. Therefore they have lots of rapids and waterfall formations, which is impossible, which actually makes it impossible to navigate it. That means to cross it or to sail along with it. Whereas till now, whatever information that you have is of the Himalayan rivers, that is in the lower course, or it is the old stage of the river where it is not moving towards any gradient and the river is flowing very sluggishly and it has dropped all its load or sediments and it is just gently flowing and it is very easy to navigate. But here in Africa, it's the reverse characteristics. Let's move ahead with the major points for the river Nile to be remembered. That Nile is the world's longest river. We can learn the numerical, if you want, you can learn the numerical length, that is 6,650 kilometers. It's up to you, it's for your extra information. The second point says that it flows northward from East Central Africa towards the Mediterranean Sea. And this we have understood many times in the map. I'll show it to you again. Here in this map, you can see that the river Nile is flowing northward from the East Central Africa towards the Mediterranean Sea. This is the flow. Here is the delta. It flows through the entire desert, which we had already marked in our maps, but it is still a perennial river because its source is Lake Victoria. And as you can see, Lake Victoria is along your line of equator, so it experiences equatorial rainfall every day. That is the 4 o'clock rainfall that you must have read about till now. And therefore, this area, or sorry, this lake is always full of water and it provides a complete water resource to the river Nile. The river Nile has two tributaries, that is two main tributaries. This is the White Nile and the Blue Nile. The river forms a delta at its mouth and the Nile Basin is this entire area, that is the Nile Basin. It is a flat, dry region that borders the river Nile in the northeastern part of Africa. So these are the major points for which you need to learn about the Nile River. Next comes the river Chari that flows into the Lake Chad. We had already marked the Lake Chad in our very first class when we had started the map. And this is the Lake Chad. In our own maps, we have marked Lake Chad over here very neatly. And this is the area that we are going to talk about while we are understanding where the river Chari is. Although we have not marked the river Chari in our maps, but we should know its location because it's an important river which forms the area of an inland drainage because it flows into the lake itself. Here, this is your river Chari. In your own maps, you can look into it, and here is your Lake Chad. Next important river is the river Okowango. In this river also, you just have three important points to know, or in fact to learn. That is, this river flows through the Namib Desert. Here, as I told you in the last class also, the Namib Desert gets its name from the country, that is Namibia, where it is located. Now here it is, this river Okavango is flowing through the Namib Desert. Now it is fed by the rains in the mountains of Angola. Here I have circled it for you. You can see the country Angola. Here you have a mountainous range where it is fed by the rains in this mountain. Therefore, it becomes a perennial river and it passes through the tropical forest on its course. As you can see out here, I've marked 23.5 degrees south. So you already know that this line where you have this river Okavango flowing through is an area that is the tropical area, Tropic of Cancer area, where it is flowing through its course. So these are just the three basic pointers you need to know about this river. In the previous class, we have already done this table in detail where we had already mentioned these five basic main rivers. So I hope you all are learning this because this is very important for your upcoming test. Let us proceed to understand the major lakes of Africa. We have marked most of them in our maps also. I'll show you the location again in the map. Here I have mentioned two links for you to go through. If you have extra time and you want extra information on Lake Chari, then you can just click on to these links and you can review them. Here are mentioned the five major lakes of Africa. Basically, most important is your Lake Victoria, which is not in the Rift Valley. Again and again, I'm repeating this fact, although it is in the same area, but not in the Rift Valley. Second is your Lake Chad, which we just saw right now. It is important because it is an entire area of inland drainage in the Sahara Desert. Then comes your lakes in the Rift Valley. We had already learnt about the three main lakes in the Rift Valley. Here today we are going to add two more lakes to it. That is your Mobutu and Edward. We already had discussed about Lake Malawi, Tanganyika, Turkana. We are adding two more which lie in the Rift Valley. So total number of lakes in your book, in your textbook that you are learning, although there are many others. But in your textbook, what is mentioned, the five major lakes present in the Rift Valley are these five. Out of the six major lakes, we have marked four in our map. Number one being the Lake Chad, number two being Lake Victoria, number three Lake Tanganyika, number four Lake Malawi. So we should know where they are located in the map of Africa. In this slide, I have mentioned the definition of the river basin, that all the area drained by a river and its tributaries is known as the river basin. You see this dotted line, this entire area where you have the main river channel and its tributaries. All this area inside the dotted line is the river basin. So when we are talking about the Congo basin or the Nile basin, we are talking about the entire area covered or drained by the particular river and its tributaries. In this slide, I have mentioned the basic terms which I have been using while I was talking about many of the rivers which are important in Africa. So if you have to revise, you can easily revise, although we did all of this in class 6. But for those who have forgotten the source of the river, it is the beginning or the start of a river. Distributary, as we all had discussed earlier also, the small rivers that branches out from the main river and then never meets again. It thus decreases the river water volume which is present in the main river. That means the water is distributed or given away. So here distributaries are commonly found on deltas but are also important in the formation of alluvial fans and cones. So the delta formation that you saw, it is in the formation of a fan or a cone, it depends, and it gives it a particular name. Tributary, a stream or a smaller river which joins a larger a stream or river and thus increases its water volume by contributing water to it. So that means what it is doing, it is tributing more water. So you can easily learn the difference between distribute, that means giving away, and tributary, contributing more water to it or increasing the water to it. Then you have, that means it joins the main river. Here then we have the next term, mouth. We have done all of these in detail in class 6. It is only a repetition. I'm just going through it so that your memory is um, brushed up and polished again. The next term is the mouth, the point where the river comes to the end, usually while entering a sea. Like we right now saw in the map, a Nile river entering into the Mediterranean Sea. That is the mouth of the river. And then we have the left hand side or the right hand side of the river, like when we were just discussing about the white Nile, which is on the right side, and the blue Nile, which is on the left hand side of the river bank of Nile. Most of you must have got confused, so you can understand about your right and left of a bank. Then I have assimilated a little more extra information. Obviously this will not come in the exam, but then all those who are interested can just go through it and understand the extra terms used along with the river, that is the catchment area, river basin. Obviously it's the same thing. Then we now continue with the case study or the cocoa cultivation in Ghana.